At the dawn of existence, the divine crafted humankind and then breathed life into the witches, bestowing upon them a fraction of his might. He proclaimed they were to shepherd the feeble-hearted humans, acting as celestial envoys. The witches, accepting this sacred charge, vowed to commit their lives to the aid of humanity. This covenant with the divine endures to the present day, where humanity's once cherished witches now face scorn and dismissal, accused of being unnecessary. This animosity has sparked a merciless crusade to purge the witches, culminating in a harrowing scene where one witch's plea for human annihilation is met with her own demise. Simultaneously, in the vast expanse of the Rydia Empire, two young souls, Adonis and Chloe, navigate towards the fringes of their realm. Impatient, Adonis laments their slow progress, questioning the remaining distance. His voice falls on Chloe's deaf ears, prompting him to query her attentiveness. Chloe's response is a hush, her focus undivided on their coordinates. Adonis, wearied, implores her to conjure a chill in the air with her sorcery. Chloe, dismissive, chides him for such a trivial use of her craft. Her tolerance waning, she threatens to abandon him to his grievances. She returns to her map, while Adonis, discontented, relies on his smartphone's GPS, a device of his own making, assured to be untraceable, and utilizing arcane summoning spells to cloak their digital footprint. Proud of his ingenuity, Adonis boasts that not even the might of the Empire's trackers can pinpoint them, making light of Chloe's old-fashioned navigational methods. Despite the ostentation, Chloe's response is swift and physical, her punch landing him squarely on the ground. She beckons him to rise, urging haste. Adonis, with a grave countenance, questions the essence of their perpetual flight. Chloe reveals the bitter truth: their kind is now hunted, their existence endangered. They are akin to shadows, forever concealing their presence. With a consoling hand, Chloe encourages him forward. A parting counsel, silence is their ally until sanctuary is found, a place of acceptance where witches can once again flourish in serenity. Chloe suggests that their relocation might also benefit Adonis, possibly presenting an opportunity to find a companion. But he retorts, reminding her of her own rule against frivolous chatter, disinterested in romance or academic pursuits. He declares his deepest ambition to continue as her protege. Chloe teases him once more, insinuating his preference for the company of mature women. Adonis bristles at the jab, yet Chloe can't help but find amusement in his fiery retort, and their voyage resumes. Suddenly, they're confronted with an unexpected challenge, the narrative disrupted by an erratic string of S, likely a typographical stumble. With tensions high, Adonis readies for combat, but Chloe cautions against it, citing his limited experience with magic. Instead, she steps forward, unleashing her chilling sorcery, Oriado, to dispatch the soldiers with icy precision. The scene shifts to a crestfallen man facing Emperor Gerda's disdain, offering excuses for his failure to capture the formidable ice-wielding witch, Chloe. His excuses are cut short by a guard's assault, commanded to respect the Emperor, who remained stoically fixated on the singular goal, capturing the witch promptly. As their journey presses on, Adonis battles with discontent, feeling sidelined in combat. His outburst reveals a yearning to use his magic in battle to stand as Chloe's equal in their struggles. She firmly reminds him of his nascent abilities. This leads to a deeper confession: Adonis doesn't just aspire to be strong, he's driven by a desire to protect Chloe, an affection that transcends their battle for survival. In a moment of vulnerability, Adonis is on the cusp of confessing his love when Chloe embraces him, reciprocating his sentiment. Their tender moment is interrupted by an ominous machine that locks onto their position, its emerald glow a harrowing prelude to a forced teleportation, a technological marvel that astounds even Chloe, as it hints at a capability beyond witchcraft. Hand in hand, the pair braces for an involuntary journey to the heart of the capital. Meanwhile, Emperor Gerda addresses his citizens, not as their ruler but as a fellow human. He reminisces about the ancient times when witches were guardians against calamity and disease, revered and feared for wielding a force incomprehensible to mere mortals, the very essence of magic. The narrative hints at a deeper revelation from the Emperor, as the chapter closes on this pivotal scene. This perceived subjugation to witchcraft, the Emperor decries, is an affront to human dignity. He proudly cites the triumphs of human ingenuity, aircraft dominating the skies, sprawling metropolises standing resilient against nature's wrath, and trains unveiling new frontiers. With the advent of smartphones, he proclaims, human progress rests literally in the palm of their hands, encapsulating humanity's ascent. Without relying on arcane mysteries, humans have harnessed the power to reshape the world. Emboldened by this rhetoric, the Emperor rallies his people to assert their dominion by hunting witches, claiming their rightful place as masters of their domain. The crowd is electrified by his words, their zeal ignited, and they erupt in fervent support as his consort lavishes praise on his stirring oration. Chloe and Adonis, having been transported into this charged atmosphere, are immediately thrust into confrontation. As Adonis distracts the guards to aid Chloe's escape, the Emperor recognizes the boy's origins. sparking Chloe's fury. She demands Adonis' release, leveraging the Emperor's concern for his citizens against him. Her restraint until now, she reveals, has been out of compassion, not wanting to orphan Adonis in a world bereft of humans. But as Chloe summons her frost-bound powers, the tide turns abruptly. Her magic falters, countered by an unforeseen force. The Emperor, previously an impassive observer, unveils his hand, the product of human innovation designed to neutralize witchcraft, a direct challenge to the notion of witches' superiority. The scene culminates in a shocking display of power and degradation as the Emperor strips Chloe of her dignity, reducing her to vulnerability without her magic. The surrounding humans, once beneficiaries of the witch's benevolence, now jeer and mock Chloe's plight, recording the spectacle for posterity, a chilling testament to the capricious nature of power and reverence. The narrative has taken a tragic turn, portraying the downfall of Chloe, a witch who had, until these moments, been portrayed as powerful and untouchable. The transformation of the crowd from reverent to ruthless paints a grim picture of societal change, influenced by fear and propaganda. Adonis, driven by despair and the impending execution, is held captive, witnessing Chloe's desperate pleas for his life. Her attempt to save him by claiming him as a slave highlights her willingness to sacrifice everything for him, revealing the depth of her affection. However, this does not soften the Emperor's resolve. In a dramatic and somber twist, Chloe attempts a final, powerful spell to eradicate the threat and protect Adonis. The chaos and intensity of these moments are captured in the fragmented narrative. The Emperor's cruel command to kill Adonis reflects his fear and determination to eradicate all ties to witchcraft. Chloe's ultimate sacrifice and the brutal display of her execution serve as a stark emblem of the Emperor's power and the dangers of unchecked authority. With the final flicker of Chloe's consciousness, we are reminded of a prophecy or a divine warning that suggests a desired harmony between humans and witches. This warning hints at a greater, looming darkness should they fail to unite. As the story leaps forward a decade, the bleak future is further emphasized by the introduction of Daroka, whose kindness amidst the dismal setting of a training camp for the captive youth reflects a glimmer of the compassion and hope that once characterized Chloe. The simple act of sharing bread becomes a symbol of resilience and the enduring human spirit. This dystopian glimpse into the future sets the stage for a new chapter, potentially paving the way for redemption, revolution, or further descent into discord, depending on the paths the characters choose and the lingering impact of Chloe's life and death. The unfolding narrative paints a stark and oppressive world where technological progress and the overthrow of witches have not led to peace or unity among humans. Instead, it has given rise to new forms of exploitation and violence. Anna's reflection on the persistent human conflict despite the end of witches challenges the Emperor's assertion that technology alone could elevate humanity above its darker instincts. Daroka's act of self-sacrifice, taking Anna's place, speaks to themes of friendship and loyalty in the face of inhuman treatment. The jailer's demand showcases the reduction of prisoners to mere objects, expected to serve without agency or dignity. This treatment is disturbingly reminiscent of Chloe's earlier plea, where she referred to Adonis as a slave in a desperate attempt to save him. The jailer's actions and the mention of the Redir Empire suggest a society that, despite its technological advancements, has not evolved morally or ethically. Instead, the advancements have been weaponized to further oppress and commodify individuals, especially the disenfranchised, such as the prisoners. The chilling transactional nature of Daroka's assessment and the callousness in capturing her fear for profit illustrate a dehumanized system where people are valued based on their utility to others. The narrative arc is set against the backdrop of a civilization that, having defeated the witches who once protected them, now turns on its weakest members with the same ruthlessness. This raises questions about the true cost of their dignity and evolution, suggesting that the witches were not the root cause of humanity's strife but perhaps a convenient scapegoat for deeper, more ingrained issues. The story now seems to rest on the shoulders of characters like Daroka and Anna, who embody the struggle for humanity and decency within a system designed to strip them away. How they navigate this cruel world and what resistance they may muster could provide a counter-narrative to the prevailing darkness of their situation. Daroka's daring escape and her improvised attempt to free her fellow prisoners highlight a spark of rebellion against the tyrannical system. Her resourcefulness in using the jailer's phone and her successful mimicry to unlock the cells show her quick wit and determination to fight back against the oppressors. The golden door is often symbolic of something precious or of great value, which in this context may represent a chance at freedom or perhaps a deeper secret within the prison. A trapped man who emerges with such hatred could be a crucial element to the story, perhaps a character with his own grievance against the Empire, someone who might ally with Daroka in the chaos. Or potentially a darker element that may add complexity to the already fraught situation. The guard's statement about Daroka causing a big problem confirms the disruption she's caused in the prison's operations, and the scene is set for a potential uprising or a significant twist in the narrative. how Daroka and the newly freed prisoners navigate this revolt, and how the man with so much hatred will influence the events, could significantly shift the power dynamics within the story. The story seems to be reaching a turning point where the suppressed and downtrodden find a voice and possibly a way to counteract the Empire's control. This resistance could be the beginning of a larger movement that challenges the status quo and the Empire's exploitation of its people. The themes of empowerment, resistance, and the quest for dignity in the face of oppressive power are shaping up to be central to the unfolding drama. And this was another video on the channel anicaps. If you liked it and want more videos like this, subscribe and leave a like. See you in the next one. The young man skillfully slips out of the shackles, prompting one of the guards to panic, insisting they inform the chief warden that prisoner 1001 is loose. The other guard disagrees, confident they can recapture him if they work together. As Daroka gazes upon the prisoner, she discerns something peculiar about him. The man swiftly dispatches the 3 guards and advances towards the frightened girl, pleading for her safety. Seemingly firing at her, he simply proceeds onward. Through the camp's pass system, an announcement blares, alerting the staff that the barriers of blocks 1 and 6 have been compromised, signaling several inmates are attempting escape. Instructions are given to initiate countermeasures, emphasizing the gravity beyond mere drill procedures. At the National Department, ASN Director Yamato assigns a top-tier guard to assess the chaos unfolding in District 7 of the Mayhem internment camp. The director empowers him with the clearance to wield weaponry of class 5 and above if necessary. The guard assures that he will uphold the Empire's tranquility with his formidable abilities. Yuki, the assistant director, stresses the ASN's role as the bastion of law and order. She insists on a more solemn defense of the peace ordained by the Emperor, to which the guard acknowledges with understanding. Yuki urges swiftness, yet his casual demeanor in front of the ASN leadership irks her. Despite her irritation, the director counsels Yuki to give the young man space. The guard, upon exiting, reveals his official uniform and is introduced to us as Ikhout, an operative from the capital's security division. Despite his youthful looks, the vice director's brother clarifies that Ikhout holds an executive status comparable to Yuki's within the Empire, advocating for his unique operational style. Elsewhere, at Mayhem's academy, the chief warden is shocked to discover the Vault of Sea's relics has been accessed. One guard offers a remorseful explanation that the fleeing girl mimicked his voice to bypass the biometric locks, an improbable feat given the warden's state-of-the-art Imperial phone security. The impossibility perplexes him, particularly since Daroka, who took his device, shouldn't have the clearance to unlock such a chamber, which houses an SS-level Threat prisoner, the infamous apprentice of the witch, Adonis. Atop the building, Adonis invokes a potent spell named Gain, a written-style magic that ominously magnifies his projectiles, rendering them extraordinarily destructive. As Adonis' spell collides with a building, the surrounding populace is seized by terror, unable to grasp the unfolding chaos. Adonis, shrouded in his own dark intent, mutters about the annihilation of everyone around him. In the midst of the turmoil, Ikhout reports to his superiors that the fugitive is nowhere to be found within the camp's confines. Suddenly, news of the bombing reaches him, and he's instructed to evacuate immediately after dealing with those responsible for the havoc, the head jailer and his ineffective guards. Daroka collapses to her knees amidst the wreckage, blaming herself for the catastrophe, lamenting her failure to prevent Adonis' escape. In the city below, as the news of the building's destruction spreads through the media, the incident is quickly labeled a terrorist attack by foreign adversaries. Amidst his rampage, Adonis contemplates his next steps, realizing Chloe would disapprove of his vengeful path. He envisions her advising him to seek joy in life rather than retribution against those who ended hers. A bystander observes Adonis with scorn, noticing his self-conversation. Lost in thought, Adonis reflects on the decade-old tragedy that claimed Chloe, vowing never to forget her eyes, her voice, her final proclamation of love, a sentiment he echoes even now. Summoning a behemoth, Adonis incites panic, with the terrified citizens pleading for police intervention. A call to District 6's law enforcement warns of a giant in the city. Disbelieving, the officer demands the caller's identification. But their exchange is cut short by a vehicle crashing into the precinct. The driver, in shock, speaks of the monstrous sight he's witnessed, a sight the officer dismisses as a hallucination caused by narcotics, detaining him for safety. It's only when the officer himself witnesses the gargantuan creature that he grasps the gravity of the situation, prompting an urgent call to ASN for reinforcement. The robotic giant, guided by Adonis, lumbers towards Emperor Gove, bent on fulfilling Adonis' vengeful plot. Meanwhile, ASN scrambles to respond to this new adversary, a colossal automaton of mysterious provenance, and learns that its path is likely to take it through District 5, setting the stage for an imminent confrontation. The severity of the crisis becomes palpable as the local defenses prove futile against the monstrous entity. In urgent communication, the director inquires if the Queen has been briefed, only to learn that all attempts have been thwarted and Her Majesty's health is compromised. Without hesitation, the director proclaims a state of emergency, giving the command to fortify defensive Line 4 and to call in aerial fire support from any available squadrons. The guard's concern about ground forces prompts the director to deploy armored soldiers to the vulnerable points, preparing for a strategic engagement. Outside, as he scrutinizes the behemoth's advance, he speculates on its seemingly slow movements. Meanwhile, Yuki informs her brother of the missing boy and the redding quill from the internment facility, leading her to speculate the giant is fueled by magical forces. This revelation prompts the director to inquire about the magical photon suppression device, the dam, only to find it is a decade-old relic stored in the underground archives, with uncertain functionality. Yuki is tasked with the critical responsibility of operationalizing the device, an endeavor underscored by its national significance. As alarms blare, warning citizens of the emergency, they are urged to seek immediate safety. Defensive Line 4 is under orders to engage, but as they unleash their barrage, the projectiles swerve erratically, missing their colossal target. In a show of force, Adonis commands his robotic behemoth to obliterate another building, its debris raining down upon the enemy's armored units. We then delve into the genius that defines Adonis, revealing a decade spent in cerebral seclusion, devising simulations and conducting scientific inquiry into the art of nation toppling through magic. This brand of magic, accessible only to non-wizards through written invocation, demands a deep understanding and meticulous systematization of magical mechanisms, translating them into mathematical formulae inscribed with a specialized pen, a technique mastered under Chloe's tutelage. For Adonis, the faces of today's populace blur indistinguishably with those of 10 years prior. In his eyes, they are collectively culpable for Chloe's demise, beneficiaries of the societal structure that sanctioned her killing. Summoning the Bell Bullet, a pair of gargantuan bazookas, Adonis prepares to rain down retribution. Declaring an eye for an eye resolution, overcome by the emotion of his impending vengeance, tears mix with a grim satisfaction. Amidst the chaos, Ikao contacts ASN with a crucial update. The sorcerer, Adonis, has been located in the palm of the rampaging titan. The dire situation in the besieged city continues to escalate. The director confirms their primary adversary is indeed Adonis, the witch's apprentice, now recognized as a lifer, a term possibly denoting someone who has been sentenced for life, indicating the gravity of his perceived crimes. The aerial guards initiate their assault, but the onslaught is premature as the evacuation of civilians has not been completed, resulting in more tragedy and chaos on the ground. As buildings crumble, a young boy is orphaned and nearly crushed under the debris, saved by the swift intervention of the Roka, who is stricken with grief over the child's loss and the devastation around her. She implores a woman to take the boy to safety while she resolves to confront the giant, believing it is her duty to stop it. Meanwhile, Adonis, feeling the strain of his exertions, is a stark contrast to the serene scene within the sanctuary of the Imperial Castle, where Emperor Gove lies ill in bed. As he senses the turmoil outside, his wife attempts to comfort him, lauding the empire they have built. Despite his illness, Gove reflects on his accomplishments with pride, especially the eradication of witches, whom he saw as impediments to progress and independence. A downpour begins, which Gove's wife symbolically suggests will cleanse him of his long-held burdens. But the calm within the castle contrasts sharply with the storm raging outside, where ASN's forces are reeling from their losses. Adonis, fueled by vengeance, seizes one of the guards, filled with regret that the purge 10 years ago did not include him alongside the witch. Diroka's sudden plea interrupts Adonis' wrathful focus. Her familiarity to him as a fellow prisoner does not mitigate his anger. When she invokes the memory of Chloe, Adonis is visibly shaken, but his fury is not quelled. His laughter at Diroka's mention of innocence betrays a deep-seated bitterness and a resolve to see his revenge through. Adonis' reaction to Diroka's appeal that Chloe would disapprove of his actions reveals the complexity of his grief and the conflicting emotions that govern him. The grip on her shirt and his heated demand for her to stay out of his way highlight a pivotal moment of choice. Will he allow his rage to consume him completely? Or will there be a spark of his former self that can be awakened by the memories of Chloe's ideals? Diroka's courage to confront Adonis, despite knowing he considers her an enemy, shows her commitment to preventing further loss of life. Her words not only challenge Adonis' actions, but also seek to reach the part of him that loved Chloe, suggesting that her legacy could be one of peace rather than destruction. This confrontation is more than physical, it is a battle for Adonis' very soul. In a profound turn of events, the Roka reveals her identity as a witch to Adonis, shattering his belief that all witches were eradicated. The revelation that she and others survived the witch hunt provides a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness of his vendetta. The Roka's acknowledgement of their failure to save Chloe puts her at his mercy, yet she dares to speak of resurrection, a concept that momentarily destabilizes Adonis' resolve. The Rokas claim that they can bring Chloe back is met with skepticism, yet it's enough to make Adonis hesitate in his quest for revenge. This pause suggests that beneath his hardened exterior, the possibility of Chloe's return strikes a chord within him, hinting at his deeply buried desperation and perhaps a suppressed hope that not all was lost. As the Roka puts herself in a vulnerable position, ready to accept death at the hands of Adonis, she evokes an image akin to Chloe's memory in his mind. This powerful moment of emotional turmoil leads to Adonis' collapse, questioning the possibility of Chloe's return earnestly, suggesting that his motivations for revenge could be swayed by his lingering attachment to his mentor. Just as Adonis seems to be swayed by the Roka's words and considers the possibility of joining her, the tragic narrative takes another sharp turn. Lycaut, aiming to eliminate the threat posed by Adonis, shoots the Roka instead, an act that underscores the chaotic and frenzied state of the conflict where even potential resolutions are cut short by continuing violence. This act is likely to have significant repercussions. Adonis, already teetering on the edge between vengeance and the remnants of his former self, may interpret this as another betrayal by humanity, reinforcing his belief in their treachery. Lycaut's attempt to kill them both simultaneously could also reflect the Empire's stance on witches and their apprentices, that they are to be feared and eliminated, regardless of any possibility that they could contribute to the Empire's healing or advancement. In this tense and poignant moment, the narrative raises questions about the cycles of violence, the possibility of redemption, and the complexities of memory and loss. It also sets the stage for what could be a powerful transformation or a devastating continuation of the cycle of revenge. And this was another video. If you liked it and want more videos like this, subscribe, leave your like, and see you next time.